The former chief spokesman of the Social Security Administration works there for 32 years, Tom Margenau. He just updated his guidebook for 2025 and tells people never base your filing age on politics. Here's 3 reasons why. First, a quote from his book. Here's an example of a very common email I get from my readers. The political future of Social Security scares me. I'm convinced that Congress will make radical changes to the program, so I'm going to file for benefits now sooner than I planned to, just so that I get grandfathered into the current system. Do you think that that's a good idea? Now, before his answer, it's worth noting that the last time the Social Security Administration made a massive change on the full retirement age, so when it changed from 65 to 67, this did not by any means happen overnight or even quickly at all. You can see the chart here on the left. If you were born in 1938, then your full retirement age got moved from 65 all the way to 65 in 2 months. And then from 1938 all the way to 1960, based on when you were born, that full retirement age slowly went up by 2 months. There was a big gap here with age 66. This still applies to some people today. And then after that, 1955 all the way to 1960 went up by 2 months at a time until we finally hit what we have today, age of 67. That's for 1960 and on. Now his answer, which touches on this. He says, it's a bad idea. Never make a Social Security decision based on what you think Congress might do to the program in the coming years. There is no question that Social Security will be reformed sometime in the not too distant future. But as with past reforms, any major changes that are implemented probably will be phased in over a long period of time. They won't happen overnight. For example, in 1983, when Congress raised the retirement age from 65 to 67, they phased it in over a 44-year period. So if you're age 62, for example, and you're worried about Congress making some radical change for the full retirement age to move from 67 all the way to 70, well, last time, just to move it 2 years, it took about 44 years to do that. It's not to say that this isn't a small factor to consider when deciding when you need to file. However, Tom's point, don't base your filing age solely on politics. And again, it's also worth pointing out he's not saying by any means not to file at 62 or not to file earlier. He actually tends to be someone that encourages people to do so. His point is don't do that just because you're worried about Congress making a big change like the one we just mentioned. Second, panic filing can hurt long term. Here's kind of a quote of him mocking a lot of financial planners. He says, however, any good financial planner would tell you that I am wrong. And this quote is coming after another one where he just said he tends to encourage people in general to file earlier. He or she would strongly recommend that you delay filing for benefits as long as possible because statistically, you are going to live long enough beyond age 66 or 70 to recoup the benefits you would lose by not taking early retirement. And while this absolutely does have some merit, what I want to point out here is actually a real scenario of a couple who was planning to take Social Security at age 70. Reason being, the higher earner was planning to work all the way until around age 69 or 70. If they planned to take it at age 70 and then retire, you actually see here on the right, they had a 79% probability of success just according to retirement software. Again, this is not guaranteed, but just looking at projections, that was what the retirement software came up with. If they take it here and they end up having a long life expectancy, which in this specific family, both of their parents have lived very long lives, and that's the probability of success that the retirement software came up with. However, if they were really nervous about Congress making some big change to Social Security and went ahead and filed for 62, let's go ahead and say that these people are about as far right as it can get. They don't trust the government at all. Still, if they made that decision, even if they think that might be prudent, just looking at the software, this isn't saying anything objectively, their probability of success actually decreased down to about 63%, which could be the difference between them getting to retire at age 70 or working 2, 3, 4 more years, which of course makes a big difference, not only on how much longer you have to work, on your additional life expectancy, on how much money they might be able to leave behind. You can see here, this is the proposed plan, which is lowering the Social Security age all the way down to 62 versus the current plan, which was filing at age 70. You can see in this specific example, this is not across the board, if they went ahead and filed early, because the higher earner was planning to work all the way until age 70, if we projected this out, again, you can see this is pretty far here, but about 3.5 million less that they would leave behind to heirs if they filed earlier. Hey, real quick, if this is helpful, leave a like and let me know. Helps me out. Number 3, you may lock yourself out of better spousal or survivor benefits. This was a very popular comment in the last video I did on a lot of Tom Margenau's work. Had over 140,000 views. That one was on filing earlier, and this was a big concern that people had. So I want to point out, this is a quote here directly from the SSA.gov on survivor benefits. It says, if the worker who died was getting reduced benefits, and you are the survivor, your survivor benefits will be based on the amount that they took, not on their full retirement age. So it says, we'll base your survivor's benefits on that amount. So if someone took it at age 62, let's say they were the higher earner, they did that because they had a fear of Congress raising the full retirement age, and their spouse, the lower earner, was going to be dependent on that Social Security. If you passed away early, the spouse's survivor benefit would be based on that lower amount. Sometimes people will do this as well because they're thinking about what are the potential risks in retirement? How can we plug those holes? This is why, for example, annuities have skyrocketed in popularity because people are trying to lock in income, prepare for different risks, like what happens if the stock market crashes. With Social Security, they might be like, let's take it early because what if the government raises the full retirement age? So they think about these different scenarios where things could go wrong and they try and plug those holes. And while this is sound logic, however, it doesn't matter if we plug one hole if we open another one up. So yes, we plugged the hole that, hey, if we passed away early, we started taking Social Security while we could enjoy it. But we also opened that other one in certain scenarios where if you passed away early, you did get to take it and enjoy it, but now your surviving spouse that may have been very dependent on this survivor benefit is going to get much less. If you're within 10 years of retirement in the US, you're beat up, there's so many different things that you could do, but you just don't know what to focus on, subscribe. I release videos for you twice a week on how to do that peacefully. Bye-bye.